everyone. I'm just seeing if there's eyeballs popping up. Welcome to Learning Live, it's the last Tuesday of the month. Can't believe it. So, welcome. I am Darlene from the Papercrafters Workshop, and I have something fun to show you tonight. I do have my iPad going, so if there's any questions, Matt's also there to help me out. But I am ready to craft with you. So as you have seen, my Learning Live is called Breaking Up the Busy. And basically what that means is playing with busy paper. This is a technique that I have learned through one of my trade show classes. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I took a class with Mari Clark. A lot of you know who she is. And she taught me this really cool technique that I wanted to share with you. Sometimes when we see paper like this, we're like, ooh, it's too busy. How do I do a layout? How do I use it for a card? Tonight's project will be a layout, but you know me, I like to show you this technique on cards. So there is some cards and some other samples to show you tonight. I am using one of our popular collections. It's called Simple Vintage Essentials. I have 3 busy papers here, as you can see. I also have a cardstock. I brought 2 just in case I mess up on one, but we are going to do a single page, and I'll show you how to do it so you can get a 2-page layout. And then, of course, with Simple Vintage Essentials, it has a lot of goodies. So I am using a little bit from each of them. This is the ephemera pack, which I'm using this piece for my photo mat, and I will talk about it as I go through, but here's some of the things I'm using. Take note bits, chipboard, as well as captured bits. I am borrowing some of Sherry's floral bits that she had from one of her learning lives, and also some rub-ons. To go a little bit different, I am bringing in a die. So this die is a Gemini die from Crafter's Companion. It's really hard to see, but it's a leaf die. There's 2 different ones. I am using the long one. It is meant for cards, but I wanted to show you how I am going to use it on a layout. So I did do some pre-cutting already. It is in white, and I will tell you why. But let's get started. So with this technique, you can pick as many busy papers you want, but 3 is the 3 sheets of paper is what you would need. You could just go with 2 and use the B side, but I decided to pick these 3 busy ones. So first things you want to do is cut off the barcode strip. And hello to everyone joining. So I'm just going to cut this off quickly, making sure I know my directions. Hello, Janice from Arizona. So with this technique, you don't see a lot of the pattern. It is, I call it pizza slices because they do look like slices, and you will see as I go. So we're going to make 3 different cuts. So this first cut is called the pizza slice. So I am going to I think this is how I want it positioned. The tickets will be the middle, and then this will be my first, second, and then third. The first cut is more like a pizza slice. I freehand it. I don't measure, but if you want, you could measure. And what I mean by pizza slice is that we want a straight edge and we want a pointy end. Just to give an idea of what we are making, because you might be saying, okay, why are we cutting pizza slices? But here is a sample of my page. Let's see if that focuses well. So we are doing 3 different cuts. So a pizza slice cut, a corner slice, and then a straight angle slice. And what I love about this is it is 3 busy papers, but we're using just a little hint of them to make a layout. Okay, so I will come back to this and let's get started. So my first one is a pizza slice, and what I am going to do is just cut a V. And I don't know what's easier. So maybe for the purpose of tonight, I am going to draw out my V just so you can see what it looks like, but I will use the opposite end. So I am not measuring. The nice thing about this is having different slices of pizza tonight. I hope I'm not making anyone hungry, but these are very narrow pizza. See, just a nice straight point. I am going close to the bottom because I know my picture is somewhat going to be at this corner. And as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be my photo mat, and that bottom tip is going to get cut off. So I think that is good. So with this pizza slice, it does fit in your trimmer. So I am going to just follow those lines. The nice thing about this paper, it's white on the side. And I'm going to cut that pizza. Okay, so here is my first pizza slice. I'm going to put it aside. If you wanted to use the back side for another slice of pizza, let's say your corner, you can. But I am going to go crazy tonight and pick some some busy paper. So this one here is a little bit tricky because this cut does not work in a trimmer. Well, it doesn't work in my trimmer. Because it's a corner cut, I find that my middle gets mucked up in my trimmer. So for this cut, unfortunately, it is busy. And I don't know if you'll see my pen marks, but we want to have an angled cut pizza using this too. So what I'm going to do is eyeball maybe about 2.5-ish from the top. It depends on how wide you want your pizza. Well, your corner slice. I don't know if we will be able to see my pencil mark, but I don't want to use pen just in case, I can't cut properly. And we want this corner, so let's do also let's go 2.25. So I'm just putting my ruler where the 2.25 grid is on my paper. And on the bottom here, I don't know, I might have to bring it up just a tad. I have my ruler right where this first pencil mark ends, just to make a slice of pizza, because you want it to join. Oops, there goes my pencil. So I'm not sure if you could see it, but I just did a pencil mark because I want this corner, and I just made a little pointy edge right here. Unfortunately, this won't cut, and I'll show you the reason. So when you put this on a diagonal, the 2 points don't meet because of how big the paper is. So this is when you take out your big scissors and you cut. I do suggest to use big scissors so then your slices are continuous. If you use little scissors, then you'll be making multiple cuts, and usually that becomes not a straight line unless you have a steady hand. But you want nice big scissors. And us as crafters, we have lots of scissors. I know I'm not the only one that has probably like 10 scissors. So a nice big scissor gives you nice cuts and straight cuts than using a little tiny scissor. But now we have this angled cut. So I call this my pizza slice. This is my corner slice. And now we need another slice of pizza. And this is the right angle slice. With the right angle slice, we just want it nice and fleshed out at the bottom. So let's draw my line here, depending on how big. Let's go about 2 inches. Or no, let's do 2.25. Because it's a layout, you probably want it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to do my horizontal line straight across. Doesn't have to be the whole thing, but maybe about 10 inches. And then I'm taking that top corner. It's like math, right? And I'm going to put my ruler where that horizontal line ends, and we will match that up. So if you're good with your triangles and you can slice these without cutting them, without measuring, then that's okay too. I find with a scrapbook layout, it was a little bit harder because I wanted to make sure that you could see how the triangle narrows, becomes smaller as you get to the end. Whereas when I show you the card samples, it really didn't matter for an A2 size card. So here, I have to erase my pencil marks. So this is my right angle thing. Actually, the pencil marks is not that bad. Makes it look. So there you go. One thing I am going to do is just edge a little bit of the end pieces. I am using Distress ink, frayed burlap. This ink worked really nice with this line, but just to pull some color out. And I am. And hello, everyone. So I know we have lots of ladies that do layouts and do cards. Let us know what you do in the comments below. Do you do layouts? Do you do cards? Do you do both? Do you do others like art journal? I know everyone nowadays do a little bit of everything. So here are my 3 slices. So let's do a refresh. We have the pizza slice, we have the corner slice, and we have the right angle slice. Now, where is my cardstock? That's pretty much all the trimming we are going to do. And the setup is really easy. So we know, am I too high? There's a leg on my iPad, so I want to make sure I'm okay. So we know this is the corner slice. So this goes right to the corner. So when you look at this layout, it's really a sunburst that you're creating. Ooh, we got lots of layouts. This one over here is a right angle, so we just want to make it flushed on the left-hand side. And because I know my photo is about this big and it is going to cover this point here, it's optional of how low you want it. You could do it higher, you could do it lower. So let's do an idea. Let's test it out. And this is our slice, our pizza slice with the top edge. And I think that looks good. You could move it closer. You could move it farther. Maybe I'll move it a little bit closer. But see how it distributes all that busyness of the paper? And I'm going to stick these down. So with this one here, ooh, we have ladies that do both. The nice thing is that when you do lots of layouts, you always have little pieces of paper that you could always make cards, matching cards with it. But here I am. Oops. Sorry for my head. I just shook the screen. And don't worry how spaced out that is. Depending on how big your photo, it covers that up, because really when we do layouts, it's our photo that's the highlight, right? So this one here, I probably want about 1.5 inches of white space at the bottom. And I eyeball, I want to make sure it's flush to the side. And there. So I know my photo is going to be just about there. Okie dokie. So we have some white space. I am going to lighten up that white space a little bit. So I'm taking my, I'm just moving the whole entire table today. I'm taking my ink and I'm lightly going to ink some color just in this empty space on both sides. Sorry for the table shake. Table. So just lightly, just so it's not too bright, because it is a vintage line. We don't want it to be white. So I'm just adding a little bit of color in those empty spaces. And here is where I am going to incorporate this leaf die. So when you cut out this leaf die, oops, I did not a good job taking the little pieces out. It has different branches, and the way I wanted to use it was I want it flushed to the edge of these slices. So what I did was I cut them apart. So don't be afraid to cut your pieces apart and use them. So I left them white because I just wanted it as a background texture. and not the focal point. So I just cut it in half, and it will just go right against those edges in the background. So I did keep the opposite end for cards and stuff like that, but because I'm keeping it on the right side, I need them to be the same. Now, how did I cut this? Oh, right here. Just gives a little bit of texture to your paper. These are really cool border dies, and they cut really nicely, but I didn't do a good job cleaning them. And you could put it higher, you could put it lower, but I did them in the center. So I need one more. And does anybody use dies on their layouts? Like, I try to get the most use of out of my things that I have. So I think this one will go a little bit up. So here is where I need to glue that down a little bit. And let's make sure my glue is good to me today. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue. Sorry, it's off camera because I literally have the glue right to my face. And I'm going to put it about a center. Okay. Then I have this one here. So I'm going to do the same thing, just glue these down to the edges. And here. Just gives it a decorative feel. And my last one. I only used it on one side. You could probably use the other half on the other side, but I think it was just enough when I was playing around. And Sandy, that's a great goal, using the dies. It could be any dies, floral dies, or if you're doing a birthday layout, you could use your birthday dies, or even sentiments, die cutting your sentiments. Great way to use up what you have. So I just left it white in the background. Need to make sure I cover my, okay. So I know this is my photo and it's already on an angle, but I like to tuck and do a cluster in this corner as my focal point. So before we do that, let's add some goodies. I love the rub-ons, so let's do some rub-ons. And if you play with any rub-ons from any of the companies, I always say staple the backer to the actual rub-on sheet so that way it doesn't get scratched up and then you can't use it. So stapling it together, then you never lose the backer to it. So as you can see, I did cut my rub-on in half just because half of it is going to be hidden. Oops. And now just using my tool, I just want a little bit of the rub-on to show. Okay. Let's see. I always lift it a little bit, see what's stuck. And I can tell that the part that's still wet from the ink, the rub-on is not sticking as good, but that's okay. I can move it somewhere else. Yeah. So, oh, I don't have a garbage here. So it is going to be hidden a tad. The other side of it, I am going to put on this side. So I split my rub-on so that way I can get more use out of it. So this one is going to go on the opposite side. Sorry for the shakiness. Oh, my heart needs a little love here. Okay. So because this is, see how I split that rub on and now it looks like I had used 2 different ones and then I didn't waste it. And let's add some clusters. So out of the different ephemera pieces, I did grab some tickets and stuff to tuck in. I love this wheel, but I only need a little bit of it. So I am going to cut it in half because I can always use the other half on somewhere else. I just want a little bit peeking. And this is where I like to just add pieces, add layers. And the nice thing about these ephemera packs is there's tons of stuff that you can layer up and use. One thing I wanted to add is a notebook piece. If I can find it. There's this nice, I just like this coil bound, but I only need a little bit. Yes, I rip everything, I save everything because you're really tucking it in. So why do we need to waste the bottom when I can stick that somewhere else? So let's glue this down. I should have brought some doilies. Doily here. So does anyone save their ephemera pieces and cut them so you can get more use out of them? Like what I just did? Okay, and then this is going to just hide at the back. Just a little bit peeking. Yeah, a great way to save your pieces and use it in other ways. So I always cut things. Yeah, right? So it's saving up. If you're cheap, you save it. And why not? Because like this piece can go on another layout at the bottom. So I have some of these little newspaper prints and little tickets that I might just tuck right behind the picture just so there's something higher up. But another thing I like to do is using a stapler. Either you have the tiny attacher or a regular staple. I like that metal look. Even, I don't know, there's something about staples in my projects. I use them quite often. I just like that look, and sometimes I will put a random one just because I like that shine. So I just stapled that randomly. That is going to tuck up at this corner here. And you just see that little hint of a staple, but it says a lot to it. Oh, Janice. Well, sometimes I get into a slump, but sometimes it just comes freely. But I think attending Mari's class did help and with the startup and then trying to figure out, you know, and playing with the lines. I find that when I get to play with the different collections, it's so much fun. And then ideas start flowing. This one here, I just want the bottom. Just to bring some of that darkness to the bottom. Doesn't have to be a full piece, but just like a hint like this. So with my photo, now, do I bring? Haha. Give me a second here. Trying to see if I do have it. I did bring my big roll of foam tape. Oops. And I'm going to lift this picture up. So I didn't put foam all the way to the edges just because I might want to still tuck things in. So that's one thing you want to do is you sometimes leave it or even put foam there, but don't take off the backing just in case you still want to tuck, because foam or liquid adhesive, once you put it down, that's it. Very, very hard to remove. that I left it open, so if I really wanted to, and I thought, oh, it needs something here, I can still tuck underneath. Ooh. One thing I did pull out from the chipboard is the chipboard pack. This one over here has different clip options, and I thought adding one here would be cute on the Polaroid. I think that color stands out more. So this one here, I'm going to use a foam strip just at the bottom here. Oops. To lift it up a little bit for dimension. Whoa, goodness. Just on this, I don't want to put it too down because that's where my photo is going to be, but at least if it's here, it looks like it's clipped on to a clipboard. And do I want to add, because I want my eyes, let's add some, I don't know, do I want to add some of these florals here? Let's see. Maybe this one here. And I'm going to do the same thing, is cut it in half, because no one's going to know except anyone that's watching me tonight. And just add a little bit of tape, and I'm going to sneak it under here. I just want a little bit, but not too much. Just breaks down and softens up the color a little bit. This one I'm going to put it down at the bottom, but I don't need this here. And stick that right under here. And now no one knows I cut that flower apart, that poor flower. I think that is, I don't know, do I want to add? So with this particular one, I did use one picture. I really wanted it as my focal point. I'm going to put one of these nib pens. So see, when I say don't put it down, because then you can't release, but I might have to cut this one. I just cut everything and tied everything. Oops, this one needs a little bit of glue and tape here. So I'm just hiding it, letting it stick out. And we could trick the eye and put this down here and it makes it look like a big long pen, but I already glued everything shut, so it's really hard to do that. And my title. So I picked a title from the ephemera one. And this one here, I think Best Day Ever was the one I picked. So I think I am going to put it right over here on this side. But I am going to puff it up just to raise it. The only thing about this is it's has those squiggles. So using my favorite foam strips, I can finish a pack of foam strips. So I'm just putting in these little tiny spaces. Just, knowing me, it might lift as I move it around. So just giving it some stability. And here. So now the fun part is peeling all this. Oops. Fingers are not working with me today. And so question for you guys, if you do scrapbook pages, are you a one photo person or do you like to use multiple photos? This is a tricky question because I'm a person that likes to use, I don't know, I could probably put like 3 or 4 on a page. But I know some ladies that I've met over time like to just focus on one picture and that's it. So let me tell us, are you a single photo? Or do you like Sandy, for journaling, you're asking the wrong person because I hate my writing. So journaling, I might do it at the bottom corner here. Just out of place, or you could even put in the white spot. Just closer to the picture. I wouldn't put it somewhere on the top where it's random and there's too much open space. I think if my word is here, I either will do the date and journaling in this spot here, or probably not the bottom. I think this will be my target area here. And that way it could be with the word. So if this title is too small, you can for sure use a bigger one, but I was just using things from our ephemera pack. And I don't know what else I want to add. But see how you don't notice the leaves as much? It kind of blended into the bottom and your focal point is still over here. I don't know. So this one here, told you I like to add stuff. And I am going to tuck this half sheet over here. Oh, Chris says, I choose single or multiple based on the layout. I usually make my pages without pictures and add them later. Yeah, I tend to have lots of blank pages right now. I'm very bad at printing photos. So I am hiding this leftover. It says captured there, so I thought. But I think I should stop because if I keep adding more, it will take it away. But here is the layout that I created using breaking up busy paper. So what it is was taking those, prints that sometimes you think it won't work together and just making little tiny slices and then your focal point. So to give you an idea what a double page layout looks like, I don't know if this will show on screen, but here's one I did overnight. So similar idea, same paper line, the 3 slices, and as you can see, I changed up the sizes. So this one's a little bit narrower. The one here, I did it wider. So it really depends on how wide you're cutting and it looks different. Even this bottom piece is much wider than the one I created tonight. So here is a double page layout. So I did this page first. I did my focal point here. And what I did on this one is I reversed it. First of all, I did the opposite. So here is my pizza slice, my corner slice, my right angle slice, and then I turned it so you have a different look. You could do it this way, but I thought, why not, rotate it one more. So now I have a picture here, a picture at the top, and I can put a title here or my journaling here. So this is how you can stretch it to a 2-page layout. I did change up the paper, on different sides, just to show you that every busy paper works. This is the one we created tonight. This is using the same paper on the other line. It still works because the colors are still the same. It's from the same line. So with this Simple Stories line, they do, like, the tickets are here on this paper, but I've also included in my clusters. So how to stretch your supplies onto a 2-page layout. And then you remember how I told you when you cut paper like this, you have so much. You could probably get some other slices in here, but you're left over with some tiny pieces that you could make a card. So for my card makers, here is a sample of the same technique on a card. I did a horizontal card here. You got the 3 slices of paper. I used a circle, and this is the Vintage Essentials, the sticker books. I just used one of their sayings there. Same technique. I inked it a little bit. Here is one. I haven't thought of a sentiment, but I did a vertical card. Same technique. This one I used the hexagon dies to change it up. I took the same ink, which is the frayed burlap. I inked the big piece, the big hexagon, and then I slightly inked the white just so it wasn't powerful. And here's a different take. If you want to use your florals or you have an ephemera that can cover that corner. Really, the pieces is to cover your connections. So here I already did because I had so much leftover paper. They're ready to go. All I need is to stick something big here and then you're done. So you know me, I like to mass produce my cards. So those are some ideas. But to show you some other uses for paper, here is the Valentine's Day one. So I did the same thing, 2 busy papers, and because I didn't want to waste a new sheet of paper, the back side of the strawberries was red. I just took the leftovers, cut it. I stamped one of these bears, and my family loves panda bears, so as you can see, I changed it to a panda. It is a winter stamp set, but I found cut aparts from this. I think it's called Smitten, the paper line. I just cut the words out. This was a cut apart that I did cut out, fuzzy cut, as my background. So a Valentine's Day version of that. And I challenged myself. So not a happy thing to document, but as you know, Photoplay came out with In Loving Memory, and I want to show you this technique works on any card. So 1 second here. I'm just removing. So here is the same technique using In Loving Memory, my 3 pizza slices. You can tell that I used a bigger photo for this one, so it is a 4x6 photo. I did mat it. I used one of the cut up parts as my title, and then one of the stickers at the bottom. It's simple, but it's good. And I think the one thing I want to add is I might add the leaves. I haven't decided. There is a set from the Crafter's Companion. It's butterflies. So I might grab that and just put die cut in white and do the butterflies on the sides. I haven't decided yet, but here is, a different version of it. And to show you what you could do with the extras, same paper, card format, and now I have a sympathy card. So this technique makes you use a lot of your scrap papers, but it also gets you to use all the busy papers because, there's lots of collections out there that have really busy patterns. And it's a great way to just break it down little by little and use in different ways. And I think the white space, so whether tonight I did use white cardstock, but if you're using a solid color, it does break that apart and it makes a difference. So here I took, I think, what was this? A cut apart that I just put over a circle and put on a diagonal, stuck a sticker, and now I have a sympathy card. So I hope that brings ideas out. It was a really cool technique that I learned from Mari, and I like it. It most likely will get me to use a lot of the busy patterns. So like, Graphic 45, you like the pattern, but you don't know what to do with it. Or, Crafter's Companion has some busy paper as well. It's a great way because if you love the paper, try it out. But here is what we did tonight. So thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I hope this has inspired you to try it out. And if you do, put in our inner circle. I would love to see your take on this. Quite easy, quite fun. And one thing I've done, especially for cards, is I did a template. So once I found the sizing I like, I just traced it. And that way, when I cut it out, I can use this as my template for making cards. So, well, thank you so much for joining me on the last Tuesday of January. Next up, I believe we have Chris next week on Tuesday, and she has some fun things that she's going to do with distress crayons and pencils. Oh, I'm just catching up on comments. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I will go through the comments and reply back. Thank you for joining me. Have a great evening, and we will see you very soon.